3, 2, 1, boom.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Young and Hungry FireCast, episode 62 with my homeboy Jay _ as of time. What's up, homie?
What's cracking? This is the whole new thing here now. We got the video going, so we got to pay attention to the video aspect. I can't be picking my nose during the show anymore.
Yeah, I'm driving, picking my nose and video, and so y'all about to see. If you're watching YouTube, you have to see the video. Yes, I'm pumped about having a video, though. It's hopefully our next podcast, Jay and I was just talking about. I got the mic. I'm ready to go. It's
stepping our game up.
Yeah, it's fine. Now it's just finding the time. You know, now that we're actually becoming, not that I'm not saying we haven't been official, but now that we're taking this podcast to, volume 2, we're leveling up with the podcast, with the website, and we got Kyle on the back end crushing it. It's exciting for us now to, make the necessary adjustments we need to do, both Jay and I, finding time to schedule the podcast in and just advancing what we can give to the listeners, you guys out there. So it's super exciting. I'm pumped about it.
I feel like leveling up, man, is going to keep us even more accountable because now, you know what I mean? Like, we have so many things going on with it now that I think it's going to keep us more because we're all in with it. And it's going to, you know what I mean? We won't miss those days that we may have missed before. Obviously, if shit comes up, sometimes we won't be able to coordinate our schedule. But in the past, there were times where we definitely could have made it happen, but we didn't. So if you guys are interested, though, in the video real quick, if you guys are interested in the video, just go to YouTube, search Young and Hungry FireCast. And also, Zach and I will both have it linked on our playlist as well on our YouTube, so you can check out either of ours. We'll have those linked, too, as well soon.
Yeah, and also that, I know, Jay, did you drop the quick one-hitter yet?
Yes, I did. I posted it yesterday.
Okay, so cool. So I'm sure most of you guys now have seen the quick one-hitter. If not, you can see Jay. So basically, we're just going to jump on there and rap for, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, share our thoughts midweek, which is something that we've been talking about doing. And it's very exciting to start doing that stuff because there's a lot of things that pop in my mind and I'll just throw on video and really do nothing with.
And it's hard to remember to bring them up on the podcast too, right? Because we're like just flowing in conversation and it's not normal or it's not raw if we just throw shit in like that.
Absolutely, and we can almost always fit those in. So with that being said, we're always going to have, we're always going to be in your guys'
constant content.
The podcast. Constant content, constantly bring it to you guys. And from a branding standpoint, guys, if you're branding, marketing, while I was watching some guy on YouTube talking about growing his YouTube page, he's like, listen, more videos, more views, more people viewing, bigger, if you get more views and more subscribers. It kind of just works that way, and that's a very, I guess you could say, original way, or maybe even normal way to grow a YouTube channel or whatever it might be. Because you put it this way, if I'm going to go search Jay's YouTube, okay, Jay, I see now he has 500 videos and he has, 180,000 or 200,000 views. Like, okay, this guy's a lot of content on here. It's obviously a good bit of people who's been coming to watch his videos. And even if it was the same 5,000 people reoccurring on whatever, 2,000 people on every single video, it's only a matter of time. As long as you're good enough, you have the chops to it, you're going to be able to gain a lot more traction because you're going to have all that filtered back-end content. It's like going viral and have nothing to, well, yeah, I went viral, but I had no other content to show. Therefore, like I see tweets all the time with like 50,000 retweets, and I click on a person's page, you have like 300 followers.
Yeah, we talked about that before, right? Like you see people doing sponsored ads on Instagram, but they don't have any content or they don't have like a landing page for people to go to. Similar to the podcast too, with us building the site, right? Because we never really necessarily had somewhere to drive all the traffic of the podcast too, because now you can link in Snapchat and Instagram, but you couldn't link the episodes for some reason, at least on Snapchat. But now we'll have the site, right, that we'll be able to market towards and say, hey, yo, go to the site. And the way we're building the website out to where we talked about it a little bit, to where it'll be very user friendly, where you'll be able to search different topics that we've discussed as well. But also we'll have like the most recent podcast audio on there from Spotify or SoundCloud, whatever we go with. And then also the YouTube will be on there as well. So it'll be a really good landing page. But it's the same thing, though. You got to have somewhere to send people to, or, you know what I mean? You got to have content of some sort.
Which is kind of like a misunderstanding. I mean, while we're just talking about it, sometimes people jump into things with a rush of wanting to make money too fast. I know we've talked about this numerous times, but kind of like a content structure, guys, a way to maybe view jumping into the industry of any industry is obviously by first things first, learning. A lot of people don't even want to learn what they're getting into. They just want to make money. So they skip the entire learning process. So it's like, let's just use lifting because that's what we use anyways. I don't care to acquire the knowledge. I go ahead and get myself a certification, which is good for you. If you guys have certifications, that's totally fine and acceptable. And it's great for your resume. But in that, you just studied for a test. You really didn't truly, quote unquote, learn anything. You're just regurgitating knowledge that someone else has given you, which most of these tests are so outdated anyways, and the exercises are so bullshit, and the industry is evolving day to day. So it's almost unnecessary to take a test. That's just part of my theory, right? It depends on your situation too. So that there's so many sides that. From there, okay, then you just jump right into it. Okay, now I want to start an online training business. So you just hit people up. You blast it on you got 1,000 people on your social media accounts, 1,000 on each platform. I'm doing training now. And now you're like, okay, I'm doing training. I got 1 or 2 clients and nobody else. What's going on here? Why am I not getting people? It's like, well, what have you provided to them before that? First things first, man, you got to master your craft. You truly need to be in the top 1% of understanding before you should be able to feel confident. But yeah, I'm going to start coaching people. I feel that confident. I've already learned a ton. I've already helped change a ton of people's lives and help reach their fitness goals for free. I've shadowed somebody, done internships. Now it's time for me to start building out my personal page after I've acquired that learning experience, right? Now, this is just speaking through kind of like how I did it. Now I'm starting to build out my page where I'm actually giving motivational and tactical basically content, tips on how to become a better lifter or become stronger or just overall general fitness goals and things. Basically giving free content where other people are able to understand the content and able to obviously take that content and apply it to their everyday lives. From there, then you can go ahead and say, okay, now that I built this, I need to build now a website out. You need to keep leveling up. Then you build a website out, put the content on there, free content, offering more in-depth stuff also on YouTube. Then from there, now you can decide, hey, how can I start charging people to make money? And what I'm charging for, is it priced accordingly? Am I, do I have enough value going in to this person? And they're going to want to pay me for it. So there's so many factors to go into it, but you have to go in step by step. You can't skip steps.
Yeah. And then continuing. Yeah. I told Content Kyle that, I don't know when it was, a couple of months ago. I was like, you can't go from A to Z. You got to go through all of the alphabet. You know what I mean? Cause he gets all ants in his pants with having, trying to go from A to Z and trying to be all that and trying to have all these clients with photography stuff and whatever he's trying to do. And I'm like, dude, like it takes time. You know what I mean? Like, look how far you've already come. Like you're already Corey's main photographer every single day. You do all my video stuff. Like shit, dude, 1 year ago, you just walked into the gym and like had no idea what you were doing. And you were just this little dweeb that was 16 years old. Like you gotta have perspective, but also you gotta know that you gotta go through the steps. But
so now Content Kyle's a little dweeb, but he's still the man. now he's starting to crush it. No, that same thing though. Alex Skinner, my homie Alex Skinner. And here's the deal. Alex is very educated at a young age. He's only 16, man. And this kid knows a lot about lifting weights. I mean, when you're around me all day, every day, and study my content, that's all he does is study my content, study content. My man knows a lot about lifting weights already. But I said, Alex, he's like, I'm not seeing the traction I want, Zach, through my page. He's just trying to build a following. I'm like, Alex, you gotta realize this, man. I said, you're giving people advice, your peers advice, which is good, but you're giving them advice like you learn that shit just by yourself automatically. I said a better way for your peers to be more receptive is saying what I learned.
Storytelling.
So it's like, so basically what he does now, it's what I learned at Iron Valley Barbell. So it's like when I was at Iron Valley Barbell, here's what I'm learning each day.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No,
so
that
it's like, I learned this
does.
through Zach, or I learned this through Charlie, and this is what now I'm telling you guys that I've learned.
That's what I've been doing through like my big 3 lifts, right? Especially like my squat, because I mean, I'll admit I don't know a whole lot about the squat because that's just not my niche. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've always been into the physique stuff and just the appearance stuff, and I've lifted, the big 3 because I've always trained with Core, but I never really invested a lot of time. So like, I'm straight up about it on social media. Like, yo, like my squat's garbage. Like I've been watching this from Zach, for example. You know what I mean? This is what I'm trying to apply right now, and it's obviously nowhere near where it needs to be. So like. That's definitely something you have to do, and that's something I didn't realize at first. And I mean, it's hard too from like an ego standpoint, because when people look up to you, you're like, oh, I want to know everything. But for me, that's just not my game. So like, I'm trying to get more into that because I know through the big 3 lifts, as I increase those, it's going to increase my overall size of my body and whatnot. But yeah, you got to just
like you said, the relative thing, right, Jay? Everything's relative. Like you can still train someone to squat, bench, and deadlift correctly without getting them hurt. You know what I mean? You can definitely train all these people. You're not like a guy.
I'm not training dudes to be Olympic.
There's good trainers at LA Fitness, so don't take this personal. but a lot of trainers at LA Fitness don't even work out.
Yeah.
You know, you're not one of those trainers. Don't take that
It's
personal.
all very, very relative, right? But and I'm
Yes.
around dudes like you and Corey and all these super elite guys all the time, and you know what I mean. And I think that's good too, because that's what makes me want to push harder, because I'm around you in the gym, we're squatting or something. I feel like I never lifted a weight in my life. You know what I mean? But then
you want to level up.
Yeah, like when I came to Iron Valley Barbell the first time last year, you know what I mean? And I was like, shit, like there's levels to this. So I came home, and now, you know what I mean? That made me work a lot harder and focus a lot more on the nitty gritty, like foundation type stuff. So now,
which was the coolest thing, because I can't tell you how many people come to my gym and I'll show them how to do a lat pull down correctly, and 3 months later I can see their door all fucked up again.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, Jay actually took my shit and ran with it. Like, he's actually applying this shit. That's legit.
Yeah, and it's continuing to progress too. You know what I mean? Like this morning, I spent a couple hours, or an hour at least, and I'll spend a lot of the rest of the day just studying nutrition stuff. I'm really big into Charles Polquin. He's like an OG, like he's kind of like Dr. Serrano. Comes from that realm of things, and just learn about the most ideal type of post-workout carbs and why certain things work better than others, and just talking about different things in training. You know what I mean? And just trying to learn more and more, because obviously you have to learn a lot just through experience, and I have learned a lot through experience through Corey and myself and just doing things myself, but also now starting to do more and more of that. You know what I mean? Like, I think long term that's going to make a massive difference.
Oh, absolutely. That was just last night. Like, Ashley knows it all the time. Last night, for instance, I was just going through YouTube and researching just all kinds of different things, from bracing to core stability, joint stability, like digging in deeper. I'll dig even in depth. I'll listen to doctors and what they have to say. And while some I'll agree with, some I won't. I know it's kind of funny, but there's some things, some doctors are just like over cautious, some are under cautious. I feel like, so I try to find that happy medium. But I'm just consistently learning, and I'm watching a video. And I watched it 4 times, a 10-minute clip. Ashley's like, "You've literally been watching that same video for an hour. I feel like it's just on repeat." I'm like, "Because it is." Because the guy was giving me a lot of good information, and I kept on and I was comparing it to how I already teach.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I already teach this. We teach kind of similar in a sense, but he had a different approach. And since he had a different approach, I was able to pull from him his approach, and it just adds it to my arsenal. So basically, it's another gun for me to go to war with.
Yeah,
it's another tool. So now it's like I got a grenade with me. And so whenever someone asks me the question, I give them an answer, and I realize that individual can't be receptive to that answer. I'm like, okay, no big deal. I'm going to give you this other answer that I've also learned. So not only am I trying to learn things one way, I'm trying to learn things hundreds of ways that I can be able to release that back into the people who are asking me the questions.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about especially diet, but also training as well, right? There's a million different perspectives though too, and there's a million different studies that can back up really anything, especially with dieting, right? So it's like it's so hard to figure out what's real, what's not. What do I trust? What don't I trust? So for me, it's more so like trusting people. You know what I mean? Instead of like the study. So Charles Polquin, right? A lot of people bash his stuff, but then a majority of people think a lot of his stuff is, it's spot on. You know what I mean? It just depends who you talk to. That's one of the people that I really gravitate towards. Like we were talking about, I think 2 shows ago, right? Is just really picking people that you gravitate towards instead of just trying to be super spread thin across the world. Just like picking a couple people. Obviously, you can see what other people are talking about too. But for me, it's always been just having those select few people and then just really trusting what they say and obviously looking into it too. But yeah, if you're just trying to look across the board at everything, it gets so overwhelming. It's like, fuck, dude. Like one guy said this, the other guy said the complete opposite of this. Like there's just so many different contrasting.
So, yeah, and I remember when I first got into it, starting into my YouTube game, like learning and like going to YouTube college, basically, what I said it was. And what I would do is I had already developed my own way of teaching in the sense. I was basically just trying to add to my arsenal. I haven't really necessarily changed anything totally upside down. How my training, like if I look how much I've evolved from just 5 years, it's totally different. But I'm not saying like my methodology hasn't flipped upside down.
Yeah.
You know, like when I'm saying external rotate, that's something I've been saying. I've been saying core tight. I've been saying get tight. You know, this is all terminology I've always used. Rather so now I've just found better ways to deliver it to the client or to the member of my team, you know?
That makes sense for sure. Because everyone's going to learn it differently as well.
Absolutely, and what happens is I might watch Louis Simmons say box squats are the best thing for you, and then I'm gonna go over here and this guy's gonna say, no, you should never box squat, and this is the reason why. And then I was like, what the fuck? I know this guy knows what he's talking about. I know this guy knows what he's talking about. What do I do now? So basically, I make my own assumptions, obviously through trial and error on myself and my closest team, which is basically just gonna be my training partners. And then I'll have so I have between 1 and 5, myself and 5 training partners all the time, right? Then I train them. Then I roll out to my one-on-one guys, and then I roll out to my website. So it goes through a series before it actually hits the general public. So I've already ran before I even have a new movement or I guess a new 4-week wave or something just totally different than I've ever done in a sense, my regular programming. It's already gone through 50 some people, a trial and error, and I've already ran the numbers and pulled the back end, if you want to say, if you will, analytics, pull the results basically away from each person and the body types it works better on, less than. Okay, if you have better, if you're way more quad dominant, this series of exercises might not be best for this individual, so I'm gonna pull that away. I'm gonna make sure I have the hamstring work for this sport, this specific athlete. Things will always continually develop and change. Just as my one-on-one training is completely developed and changed now, I don't take as many people with one-on-one training now as what I used to. Reason being is I'm so busy, and now my one-on-one training, it's basically built off of the video critiques is what I offer. I know we talked about this on previous shows, so they send me videos and I send people videos back, critiquing their form. That's the blunt of my training. I am not the coach I used to be, but now just where my business is going now, and also who I truly am as an individual. I'm a motivator, someone to get you up your ass. I am that person, but I'm not the daily check-in guy. I know you excel at staying on your clients. That's where we're opposites. Boom, boom, boom. That's great. And if someone needs that, if I know a client needs that, Jay knows firsthand too, I point clients his way all the time. Like, I'm just not your guy because I'm not going to check in on you daily. Yeah. I'm going to hit you up at the end of the week. We're going to set goals. The programming's already wrote. I've critiqued it if it needed critiqued. Now you just send me the videos. When you send me the videos, I'm going to respond back with a video that I'm going to take myself, showing you what you need to correct, the extension movements you need to implement, the extension movements you need to pull out, and what else we need to add to. Yeah. And that's the gist of how my training works now. I'm not like, hey man, how's the nutrition go? For sure. I'm developing now an elite level team. Yeah, for sure. Like even if I have a lot of guys who only bench 135, and that's fine, but they will be elite in time because those guys are searching for that elite level. And I'm not saying general health seekers might be searching for that too. Like even like clientele that you might have, you might still have guys that right now just need that boost, and in time they'll become quote unquote an easier client, right? Yeah, that's the interesting balance, right? Is like, because I got a handful of guys right now that are in a gal as well that are prepping for shows, and then I got general weight loss people as well, right, that could give two fucks about being as shredded as possible and being on the beach. They just want to get healthier in it, and mostly a lot of people, the funny thing is they have a general idea of what they need to be doing, right? Not eat processed food, not drink pop all the time, and they just need the accountability and the guidance and someone to be on their ass saying, yo, like, this is in structure as well, right? But it's such a it's so different though, having the clients that are working towards the shows and then the general weight loss, and they just need different stuff, and obviously just the mindset's going to be different. It's a whole different ball game, so you got to learn the differences between each one and then apply it accordingly, basically. Which is definitely challenge for you. That's like a more like, in Jay's instance, he's more of like a multi-purpose coach. Like, he can be there for you when you need, that kick in the ass, certain things like that. That's his push. Where I'm over here, like, listen, if you can't, in a sense, if you don't come to me for one-on-one coaching, if you're not already to the level where you're forcing yourself to want to get better. Now, I'm not saying my way is right or wrong. Here's the deal. Like, 'cause you look at it and be like, well, that's kind of fucked if you're a coach. Like, there's right or wrongs. There's obviously just different levels, and there's different ways to want to be a coach. And it was a struggling time for me to go from kind of, in a sense, the type of coach that you are now, which is phenomenal, which most people need, to come to this coach that it's a very niche percent of people who can even work with somebody like me. Oh, for sure. For a reason being that it's just like, I'm not there patting you on the back. Like, if you don't hit me up for a week, I'm going to hit you back up next week. Like, yo, need the videos from last week and videos from this week. What's our goals? And obviously, I'm not saying like I'm always answering questions. I'm kind of dumbing this down a little bit to actually what I do. No, for sure. I think I'm still like answering questions, and I'm still in direct communication daily as needed, all that good stuff. But it's like, I'm not like, come on, bud, slap it like and trying to get people going. You have to, your train has to already be moving to get on the mind.
Yeah, and I kind of experienced that as well, right? I'll give people like a couple like chances, right, where I'm like, yo, like you need to get on your shit. Like, this is on you. Like, I'm gonna give you the game plan, but you got to follow it. And after a few times, right, and they stop responding to emails or whatever, and don't fill out the meal logs that I give them each week, then it's like, okay, well then that's on you. Then you paid, but I'll still send you the meal log each week, but I'm not gonna be like, yo, fill out the meal log this week, get on top of it. You know what I mean? Let's get it going at a certain point. But also too, I think you have that option as well, right? Like as my training programs grow, as my business grows, as I grow as a trainer, as I grow my knowledge base. You know what I mean? I'll have that option down the road. I'll still do the general weight loss, but people are going to have to come in and that's going to be one of the expectations right off the bat, right? Like I'm not gonna dick around and just try to motivate you throughout the whole process. Like you got to show something at least.
Absolutely.
And then especially with the guys that are cutting for the shows, like and the women as well. Like that's pretty much known knowledge, right? I don't think I've really had anyone that's prepping for a show or a shoot that I have to really necessarily motivate and keep them on track, like I would like a general weight loss.
Sure, and everything goes down to the value that you hold yourself to. You know, like you're obviously okay. Your main thing right now in nutrition, you're leveling up, doing your thing on your side. Where my side is like I'm over here, I'm leveling up as far as explaining. You know, you said we just talked about you talked about the nutrition.
Yeah.
And the people you're looking to level up. Now I'm talking about like how I'm researching different ways to give answers to people, which is something I've been doing for years, to have an arsenal of answers to apply to each client. So now I know that just one video critique I can send back to someone, because I know this because this happens every fucking month. That person might hit a 20 to 30 to 40 pound PR literally within 1 week of training with me, just because I altered their form. So I know how important these video critiques are, which is why I could feel so comfortable with charging the rate that I charge, knowing how much value I can add simply through one video, let alone I'm not saying you're going to hit a fucking 300 pound PR on your bench in 1 month. What I'm saying is I'm going to develop the skill set where you're going to hit these PRs, and sometimes it's extremely fast. As long as you're strong enough for it, I can put you in a better position. You might deadlift fucking 100-pound PR that week.
No, I can 1,000% attest to that, dude. Like your ability, I was just telling Grant about that, my training partner. Your ability just like to really, you know what I mean, pick out like people's weaknesses, but also to like little things in their form as well. It's unfucking believable, really.
Yeah, and that just goes down to, you know, everyone has their different the things they're good at and bad at, you know. And then someone was saying the other day, like we were talking, it was with some cousins and shit, talking about Ashley's fan, whatever. Anyways, we're talking about how basically how people have their things they're good at and they're bad at, but how Instagram and social media is a highlight reel. And I'm like, well, no shit. Like he was on. I said everyone makes fun of the people who air their dirty laundry on social media. Nobody wants to see that. But I'm like, everything's relative. Everyone in the world is good at something. There's something someone's really good at. You might be great at cutting grass. Therefore, you can make 6 figures cutting grass. I know people who do it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah,
so
definitely.
they make 6 figures during the summer, and then they throw salt on the road and on the sidewalks in the wintertime, and they make $150,000 a year. No, I know people who do that. So there's certain things. Everyone's good at certain things, and mine just so happened to be what we just talked about. You know, that's actually just what I just excel at, and I learned at a young age, and I ran with it. Now, if you give me like a fucking I don't know, put me behind a desk. Like I know I do computer work now, but put me behind the desk and make me do actually office work, crunch numbers, or write articles. Like I write articles now. Thank gosh I have a good guy who proofreads them for me, because it looks like a text message, you know?
Just all over the place.
There's some things I'm really good at and some things I'm just really bad at. Just like everybody, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest takeaway from the social media and branding is just storytell, right? Don't front.
Absolutely.
Are you ready for the quote of the day, Zach?
Let's get it. Give it to me, baby.
Let's knock this out before we gotta bounce. It's time for me to eat some steak and eggs again. All right. So this comes from the Daily Stoic, and the chapter is called Clarify Your Intentions. So here's the first quote. Let all of your efforts be directed to something. Plan all the way to the end. Begin with an end in mind. Having an end in mind is no guarantee that you'll reach it. No Stoic would tolerate that assumption, but not having an end in mind is a guarantee you won't. When your efforts are directed at a cause or a purpose, how will you know what to do on a day in and day out basis, right? So that's reverse engineering your life in a sense. It's the same exact thing.
I really like that, dude. Remember, we talked about this before on the podcast, which I heard on Corey's and John, whenever they interviewed Kyle Snyder, who won the Olympics. For those who don't know, he's the youngest wrestler to win Olympic gold. He said, you know, all right, Kyle, what drives you every day? Like, what are some things you do? He goes, well, every morning I wake up, I act as if a stranger was following me around all day long. Would they be able to see through my day-to-day actions what I was training for, or what my goal was? Mm-hmm. So basically, if a stranger followed me around all day and they didn't say one word and I didn't say one word, would they be able to tell what my overall goal was? And he goes, and if the answer was no, I obviously ain't working hard enough. And that's kind of relative to what you just said.
He said that when we were interviewing him we did that lunge and learn with him at the horseshoe, and he said that shit, and it hit home really hard.
Yeah, that's just like, oh, I really like that. Because, like, now I'll catch myself slipping sometimes, like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good takeaway.
And also, I mean, it starts with having that long-term vision, right? He knew he wanted to be an Olympic gold medalist and be the best wrestler of all time. Like, for me, right, I know I want to have an extremely lifestyle-based business, and I want to be able to travel the world and all of these things. So basically, everything I do right now has to be geared towards that. I can't be building a business where I'm going to have to be there 24/7 my whole life, because then that doesn't allow that freedom. And a lot of other things as well. But yeah, that allows you, once you have the long game in mind, to be able to work backwards, which was huge for me when I started to realize that. And I mean, you've talked about it as well. It's massively beneficial, because then, like you just said, every single day, everything that you do can be geared towards that, and you're never really necessarily lost in a sense. You always know kind of what you can be doing in that moment to kind of move you a little bit forward, one step closer.
Absolutely, man. It's
Boom.
Consistency, Jay. It's like we always talk about, dude. It's every day. Just deposit that coin. That's like a phenomenal slogan you have going on. You need to make a T-shirt of it with the piggy bank.
It's going to be a T-shirt for sure.
He goes, oh, we will be.
It will 1,000% be a T-shirt. All right. Anything else? Any departing shots?
Hey, that's it, guys. I appreciate all the love. Don't forget to like, subscribe. We got a lot of cool things coming for you, so appreciate the listen.
Yep. Zach will be back for a SparkCast. You like that name, by the way? SparkCast?
Yeah, let's go with it. We'll
Minicast. I thought SparkCast was cool because it's kind of the beginning of a fire. You know what I mean? It's not a full FireCast. It's a SparkCast. A spark's the beginning of a fire.
Spark went up. Yeah.
So Zach will be back for a SparkCast later this week.
You're gonna hear me because I said rap earlier. So before every song, I'll light it. You know how Lil Wayne does the light. Lights the blunt before. That'll be me. I'm gonna have a lighter go. That's my new thing. I got it. I gotta find a lighter though. I have no.
Much love. Peace.
Peace.